So tell me about cardiac wellness. How do you approach cardiac, or what did you call it? You called it cardiology?
Preventative cardiology.
Preventative cardiology.
Well, so, I come from a family where two of my dad and my grandfather dropped dead from sudden cardiac death. And of course, that's the biggest issue. I mean, anybody can diagnose a heart problem when someone comes in clutching their chest and they're sweaty and everything. They cath them and put a stent in. The big problem today is when we see people that are there playing golf on the third hole and drop dead for no apparent reason, and we go, well, how do we stop that? And when you look at the statistics for today in cardiac medicine, we were making progress in reducing cardiac death up until about 2010. And then all of a sudden, despite all of this technology, all of these new medicines, all of everything that we do, there's a big spike and an upturn in sudden cardiac death and cardiac problems. And they go, what's the problem with this? Well, the real answer is I don't think we've got our finger on the pulse of really what's going on. I think it's a greater and a bigger problem. I think some of the researchers like Mark Houston at A4M are doing a wonderful job in that area, but I think there's a lot more. And I think when you look at it, I think the key is to try to find those people that are at risk for dropping dead. And I think being in the hormone space allows you to do certain things with manipulation of testosterone, estradiol, and thyroid that allows you to get a handle on their metabolism, their sugars, their cholesterol metabolism, and then doing some things along the way that allow you to be more specific in picking up these people that are a particular cardiac risk. And I think that's evolving right now with things like a CT, calcium scan, a CT angiogram, fractional flow analysis. And those things are going to be more sensitive and prove to be greater resources in diagnosing and preventing sudden cardiac death going forward.
So, Dr. John, tell me, how do patients end up seeing you for this preventive cardiology? Are they coming to you for something else and you just say, hey, while you're here, or do they look you up and say, hey, I really want to get my heart as healthy as possible? How do they usually end up in your office?
Well, it's usually they're going to come to our office for usual hormonal health. They know they don't feel well. I'd say probably about 2/3 of the people that present in our office come there for the standard hormonal health kind of things, libido, energy, focus, concentration, weight gain, and those things. And a few people do come for, say, I know I'm off metabolically, I'm overweight, I know this is a problem. But they're not necessarily coming for cardiac preventative care. And so what ends up happening is we've developed a protocol in our office where we look at several specific evidence-based indicators of where people are going to go wrong, and we use those to guide us in a direction that will allow us to do the testing that's necessary to identify the people at risk. And meantime, we're working at fixing everything that we can, fixing that metabolic imbalance, those hormonal imbalances, those nutritional imbalances that are directly causative toward cardiovascular disease. So while we're working at fixing them metabolically, we're also identifying those at risk to the point where this year alone, we've identified 7 people that were either missed by their PCP or cardiologists that ended up having revascularization procedures of some sort when they were told, you're fine, come back next year.